Hello, good evening. Happy Shushan Purim to everyone. Even though this is post Shushan Purim, of course. This Torah is dealing with preservation of the mental faculties, the big sakana, the big adversary of the shleimus of the moichin is Gamma Bris. And the Rebbe was very Rabbi defined rectified mental faculties as clothing that are white, signifies the purity, when whiteness has been injected into them. The opposite is red garment, where the blood of the domim of the blemish of Gamma Bris, there's no injection of whiteness. So the red is Prinus Dam Shchino. There's no Dibor. The Torah mysteries cannot be revealed. Now we're holding by Seif Zain, Torah 29. Zepchinas Choli Neufel. This is Lo Aleinu, Achmol Itzlan, no, never mind, not working today. And this is when the blood are overcoming, and they spritz the mind, the brain. It presses the moichin. When the moichin are pressed, the limbs are jittered because the brain is the military commander, the field marshal. And when the enemy attacks field marshal, all the Averim have to do with him. This Inyan refers to the Shekhinah. When the Gidim, when the spiritual blood vessels, when the Shekhinah is in them, are Bechinas Dam, the Moichin, the supernal Moichin is being squeezed, being pressed. That causes all the limbs, as it were, of the Shekhinah to quake. When the Shekhinah falls down, Chas v'sholom. Shekhinah's Sukkah's David Anofelas. It is rooted that the Shekhinah is B'china Sukkah's David. It is known the Sukkah of David. We say, build as Shekhinah's Sukkah's David, and Anofelas, the fallen Sukkah of David. This is the sphere of the Malchus. And that causes in this world, this Gashmazdika world, Chol Neufel, Chamol Atzlan, that Am Yisrael are parallel to the spheres of Malchus. When the Malchus falls, it causes a fall by Israel himself. And And through Tikkun HaKlali, it awakens the moichin, the mental faculties, and it injects whiteness to the gidim, to the blood vessels, the spiritual blood vessels. Then it becomes bechol es yu b'gadecha levonim. At all time, your garments should be white. V'as nisrapes mecholas hanefila. Then the Shechina is being healed from the illness of falling. As the pasuk, it says, "Nafla fell, v'lo soisif," and it will not fall again. Kum b'sulas Yisrael, get up, b'sula of Israel. This is the Shechina. V'az adibur mutar. Then the dibur is allowed. V'chnas p'sach picho, open your mouth. Then Torah mysteries can be revealed. Zen lo seilech rochin. Don't go gossip mongering. And do not stand on the blood of your fellow friend. Who is your fellow friend? Who is Re'echa? Re'echa hainu moichin. These are the mental faculties, Chochmah and Bina, that in Kabbalah are called Trei Rein de lo Misparshin. These are two friends that never ever separate. Because the moichin is Pchina Spheres of Chochmah, Spheres of Bina. These two spheres are always connected and there's no separation between them. And this is what the Seir says in the Mikra, in Vayikra. Kshem einam oimdim and misbatlin milasot pu'ulosam this is when they are not being canceled out from doing what they need to do through this influx of domim, of blood, that presses the mental faculties. That's the meaning of the pasuk. Do not stand on the blood of your friend. In other words, that the reim, the friends, are not standing through the blood. They say, and that allows do not go gossip mongering. Then the dibur is allowed in the days of Reb Shimon. Union of the Chochmah and the Bina being together. We have explained that the Chochmah, the level of Chochmah is totally unknowable. In fact, the only way that it can be known is when it's connected to the Bina. If you remember, I told you the mushal of the riddle, that the Chochmah is like the riddle. You have no tfisa in the Chochmah at all, because unless it is in the mental in the faculties of the Bina, of the comprehension that makes sense of it. The Bina is the thing that enables you to see it. Give another example. We all have been in an airplane, and at night when the plane is landing, I don't know if you should probably know it. In the base of the wings, right next to the fuselage, there are landing lights, very powerful landing lights that send very long, strong beams of light as the plane is landing. Now, what happens is that these lights, what they do, besides the fact that they light the runway or whatever, I don't know if you ever noticed, this is not particularly in the gear to the Indian, but an airplane, before it takes off, it puts on two lights in the nose wheel. I don't know if you ever noticed that. The reason for it is because to scare the birds away. Any birds on the runway, it can be sucked into the engine. So the projectors, like on the landing gear, look to any bird. I don't know what the story is, but they look to birds like the eyes of a predator, and they move away. But the Nakuda that I actually wanted to emphasize is when you are sitting inside the plane, and let's say you're sitting next to the wing, the pilot turns on the landing lights, he can be right next to you, but you don't see anything. But when the plane, when it goes down and the landing lights are on, when the plane goes into a cloud, goes through a cloud at night, suddenly the cloud particles, in the cloud particles, you see the beam of light. When there's no cloud, you don't see anything. But when you're going through the cloud, suddenly you see, a beam of light shining. What does the cloud particle do? They're actually constricting the light. They're standing in the light's way. When there's no cloud there, the light travels freely. It's not reflected, and you can't see it. But when the light goes through a cloud, suddenly you see reflected the cloud particles. Suddenly you see the shape of the beam. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Nelson writes about it. Well, he doesn't write about airplanes. It says that what he says is that the cloud is the media upon which the light is written. If there is no media, it's a paper or whatever it is, if there is no media, the writing cannot be read. The media gives the basis, the contrast, the format to the light. And this is what is happening with the Chochmah and the Bina. The Bina is injecting the context and the contrast. It is breaking down the Chochmah according to specific parameters, and therefore gives you a grasp on the Chochmah. Like when you learn you see a certain kasha in the Gemara, and there are two contradictions between, let's say, one Tana and another, or one Shita, one understanding and another. And the point is that you have no answer to it until you start offering different kind of solutions. And before you offer the solutions, you have to understand what is the underpinning, the categories where the question is, what are they arguing about? What are the phenomenon? What is disagreement? Last night was a Kol Purim, and they dealt with Dafka. I don't know why, but Dafka Pesach, of drinking and eating matzah b'aseva, reclining. Whether reclining is a separate mitzvah, or is it a part of the mitzvah of eating matzah and drinking the dalat kaisis? Same way, so you see that one place the Rambam says one thing and the Rosh says another thing. So in order to understand why the Rosh Paskins, let's say, that you have to eat leaning down and reclining, and if you don't, I'm not saying the Rosh is saying that, but I'm saying Father says, look, if you haven't done it, if you haven't eaten the kazais or whatever it is, leaning, then you're not yaitze. And the other one says that you are yaitze. So the other Rishon says that you are yaitze. So comes the question, when you want to find out, what gives? Why is this one saying this one saying that? The thing that you need to do is you need to understand the fundamental explanation in the way that the Rishonim learned the Gemara. And one learned it this way, and one learned it that way. So actually finding out what is the fundamental difference, how did they learn, each one learn what he did, and what are the ramifications, therefore, la halacha in various situations. This is how the Bina is working in order to open up, the origami of the kasha, of the chokhmah. And without it, the chokhmah remains totally elusive. It's unfathomable. It's undifferentiated and cannot be understood. And both capacities, the chokhmah and the bina, are being robbed, are being sapped when there's no tikkun hakla. When there's no tikkun hakla. Rabbeinu says that when a person doesn't have emunah yet, proper emunah, then he has to do avodas kashos. He has to do hard work. Hard work, meaning at least, for our purposes, we're not in an age where we can, wake up like lions and whatever. I mean, Rabbi Wise, of course, can do all of that, because he's a young man and he's running and he can do anything. But schlubs like me, I can know that. I can be grateful waking up in the morning. Other than that, so there is no moichin, there is no that people like me need to put in, to get to the chokhmah and bina, to get into the is to go and pull through and plow, even though I don't get the chokhmah and bina, even though I don't have the moichin, even though my davening is lacking. Even though, I may wake up and go to shul, or I may wake up and daven at home, or whatever it is that I'm capable of doing. The avodas kosher that people like me need to put in is to do things without understanding them. The main avodah of tikkun haklali, besides all the prohibitions that one should stay away from, looking at things, saying things, listening to things that are inappropriate, and which is mostly gear to what it is we need to ask in Purim and all the time. This is a cardinal issue. We absolutely 100% totally must beg a Kodesh Baruch Hu to achieve rock solid, vivid, absolute, automatic amuna in the greatness of the tzaddik and in his strength. You need money and you have a friend that is wealthy and tells, I'm going to give it to you. Okay, you relax, no problem. They're telling you, you see a bank account and you see that there's money there. You and I know that there's no money there. There's just a notation there that you have money there. But if you're in the need of money and somebody sent you money, means that now the bank is written in bank's books that you have money. If you were in pressure before, each and every one of us at certain, times in our lives have situations where we are in dire need of money. Now, money problems are unique in two aspects, and they're unlike any other problems that a person might have in any other area of a person's life. The first anomaly of money problems is that, by and large, all money problems eventually come to some kind of a settlement. They're solved. Money comes in, some kind of an arrangement, they don't last forever. Unless, of course, a person is addicted to being in debt. Okay, but the Maisa, there's always situations that the money problems go away. They're there when they're there. They're pressuring. They're like, you can't move, you can't breathe. But the minute that by and large, 99.999% of money problems disappear. They come to some kind of a conclusion. I don't know if you noticed that. That's one anomaly with money problems. Other problems, some never come into, never solved. Money problems are almost always solved, almost answered. The second anomaly is that whenever it is that a money problem, is satisfied, is solved, and money arrives, it leaves no scar. The fact that you needed money is gone, as if it never existed. I don't know if you ever paid attention to that. It's like, oh, okay. It's like the Indian, the reason for it is because, of course, money problems is something which is constant because we need to eat all the time. We need money all the time. And uh, the reason why it disappears as if it never existed is because they have a bechira like, well, when I needed money, I cried out to Kodesh Baruch Hu, like, forget about it. But the minute I got the money, of course, well, did I say thank you to Kodesh Baruch Hu? Maybe. How much did I ask Kodesh Baruch Hu until the money came? Wow, forget about it. Day, night, 3 times a day. And please, a bunch of that. The minute money comes in, oh, thank you. Finish. Like, as if it's like, okay, I mean, it's like it's coming to me. But the minute that a friend that has money tells you, I'm going to give you money, you relax. You're no longer pressured. The bank tells you that money came in, you relax. You're soymech on it, you lean on it, you rely on it with such assurance, such certitude. No problem. We need to have similar automatic, no question asked, almost like a duh kind of assurance in the mamoshes, in the realness of the koich of the tzaddik. Baruch Hu gave the tzaddik the memshala, the authority, here in this world, both physically and spiritually. Whatever you need money, you need health, whatever it is that you need ruchnis, obviously. Lean on the koich of the tzaddik. So why am I not helped? Because I don't have the kind of emunah that I need to have. If I have this kind of emunah, no problem. Listen, I still need to take care of things. I still need to do my shtadlus. But no worries whatsoever. Okay, in the meantime, you daven, you have to daven, no problem. Feel pressured, you call out. But there's a certain kind of certitude that everything is just the way it's supposed to be. And if I don't feel that, that means what's lacking is the moichin. I'm not connected to the moichin. The main moichin that I need, that you and I need, so each and every one of us needs, is to rely and believe in the koyach of the tzaddik, that it's real. You know, in the story when Tzir Rabbeinu was in danger, in Uman, they want to dig up, and whatever it is, you know the story with Rabbi Rosenfeld and all the story that went on, and you know, with Jimmy Carter that spoke to Brezhnev, and the story before they actually went to Brezhnev, Rabbi Rosenfeld, which was a chavrus of the Lubavitch Rebbe, called up the Lubavitch Rebbe and asked him what to do, and he sent him to a person in New Jersey that turned out to be that particular person in New Jersey who used to be a secretary of Jimmy Carter, that was the governor of, I don't know, was it the state was, and I don't know what he was at the time, but nevertheless, he was still a candidate, and this is how we met with them, whatever it is, and this is how then they called up the when they went to the Lubavitch Rebbe. I mean, people in need just called them up, you know, being totally certain that if he gave them an answer to do this or to do that, it's done, it's finished. There's no need to talk about it anymore. You just follow what he says, and things will fall into place. I'm sure that you have heard many such stories, maybe some stories that happened with you as well. So comes the question, why is it so much easier to rely on the Lubavitch Rebbe than it is to rely on Rabbeinu? The reason is that what at stake with Rabbeinu is that much greater. Lubavitch Rebbe, Schus Atagen Aleinu, was a great, great, great person. And he is in charge, was in charge of whatever he was in charge in this world. And that's a temporary tzaddik for his generation. Great, great man. Rabbeinu is a different matter altogether. Our very existence in Olam Hazeh and Olam Habo depends on the Muna and Rabbeinu. That's why every kind of blemish of Gamma Bris hurts the Emuna in the Tzaddik, because the Tzaddik is Shmiras HaBris. This is it. Tzaddik is Osbris Kodesh. So it says, Man Nikra Tzaddik, Man Tzaddik, who is the one who is the Tzaddik? Man denoted Brisa, the one who is keeping his covenant. So being that we are talking about the Tzaddik upon whom everything depends, not just this life in this world, but all the incarnations, those that was and was that will be, that Hashem shouldn't be, and Olam Hazeh, Olam Habo, Tchias HaMesim, the great judgment, everything depends on him. So the slightest shmitrik in a blemish in Gamma Bris already saps the Emunah in the Tzaddik hands. The more cardinal, the more critical the Tzaddik, the more critical is the Emunah in him. And vice versa. So that means that the main blemish of the mind is Gamma Bris, and the loss is that the tzaddik doesn't shine. The tzaddik doesn't shine. Yeah, he's great, he's this, he's that. You can talk the talk. Don't want to mix my better metaphors, because I'll say until the cows come home. But it's not real, it's not solid, it's not. Because when it comes to Emunah in the tzaddik upon whom everything depends, the slighter blemish saps the Emunah. It's a lot easier to me to believe in great tzaddikim in this generation. Go to them, ask them, see, moifsim, this, that, trust them 100%. Yes, but that tzaddik, that one's life depends on in this world, the next world, and over there, that doesn't come cheap. There's a lot more at stake there. A lot of davening now, Shushan Purim, Olam. Save me from the klipa of Haman Amalek, who is the epitome of godliness, and be mezakemi with the kedusha of Mordechai and Esther, with the kedusha of the tzaddik Emes. Bezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch should help us with all, with Purim, Baruch Hashem, under our belt, Megillas, Mitzvah Sayayim. Bezrat Hashem, we will meet tomorrow in the Bris Medrash and learn Torah 60. And Baruch Hashem, life is good. Life is good. Thank you so very much. Be matzliach with everything. Let me just